you forget who you are and where you stand in the struggle. They got so very, 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 so very. They changing everything. They say so much today. They got so much things to say.
Yeah, man, it's the #1 neighborhood sports analyst coming to you again. Hopefully my voice sounds a lot better. Man. So many things to say, like Bob Marley. I've been wanting to chime in on this GGG versus Canelo thing. I do like Chris Eubank throwing his name into the mix with GGG, because it just makes things interesting. You see what I'm saying? Like another name gets thrown in the mix, and now this GGG Canelo fight, you know, you throw him into the mix, that fight can mean a lot more. You know, with just these two guys, to me, I feel like it's somewhat of a hype machine. You know, even though Canelo's fought the way better competition, he's somewhat of a hype machine. You know, so like if Eubanks fights GGG, you know, if he wins, he ruins that fight. But let's say GGG beats him, you know, great fight. Now, the Canelo fight with him is a little more relevant. Like I know that it just makes it seem like it's for the best. You know, like I can't say GGG is the best middleweight, because you got Danny Jacobs out there. It's a lot to say, man, with this whole middleweight division. The middleweight division was fading. You know, GGG, you can look at him as almost a savior of the middleweight division. That's why a lot of people like him, you know. But then there, you know, you still see examples of guys not fighting each other, and he's somewhat of a hype machine. And with Chris Eubanks, Danny Jacobs, Billy Joe Saunders, you know, he's okay. GGG, you look like you got something. And then you pile on, you know, Canelo could be coming to the middleweight division, you know. And then, you know, you add that with the junior middleweight division, and you got something. Right now, basically what I'm saying is that the middleweight division, not even really the middleweight division, GGG and Canelo are some fucking eyesores. You know, there's some eyesores, man. You know, with this shit. You know, because and it's all in the opponents that they're fighting. You know, and even with you know, GGG, man, he's not fighting all the guys he could fight. Here's my thing with Canelo. You know, here's my thing. Here is the real thing. Here's the real deal. You know, GGG got his shit with him, but fuck that. This shit is about Canelo. And I'm a Canelo fan, but I'm starting to turn on Canelo. Bruh, they brought you along your whole career slowly. They kind of coddled you. I mean, a little too much. You know, because I think once a guy gets past a certain amount of fights, he shouldn't, you know, he shouldn't be fighting tomato cans. Or he shouldn't be in clear mismatches. Like, you should not be fighting the Josecito Lopez. I'm sorry. You should not be fighting him. You know? You shouldn't be fighting an Amir Khan. Like, you just fought a fucking welterweight, a chinny welterweight that most people believe a lot of welterweights will knock out. You know, you are the size of a middleweight, even though you never fought at middleweight, and you're fighting a chinny welterweight. Come on, man, that's never fought at middleweight before. People let him go with that. You know, now you're gonna fight fucking Liam Smith. Man, I was just looking at the champions in the middleweight and the junior middleweight division, because the junior middleweight division is panning out to be one of the better divisions in boxing. The welterweight division is still the best because it's stacked. It's like 10 deep, man. Like 9 or 10 deep, you know. But the junior middleweight division is like looking real competitive. You got the Charlo, you got 4 guys. You got 4 champions, 5 guys that's good enough to be champion. You know, you throw in Andrade. And I even like Vaness. A lot of people don't like Vaness, but I like Vaness. And then you got Canelo, who's stuck in limbo, 155. You know, I wanted him to go back to 154 anyway, because I feel like he is unfinished business, if you ask me. And what you got going on right now is the junior middleweight division is starting to, pass him up. Because Canelo was the star of that division, and he should have stayed there. He was the star of that division, He vacated his WBC title, or he vacated one of his belts. Don't quote me on that, on which belt, but he vacated one of his belts, and now the other 3 guys, they're standing out more than you in that division, right? And I was saying to myself, I said, with all of these guys he can fight, there's 6 guys that can give him problems. That'll be great fights, good fights for him. And GGG, of course, being number 1. I'm not gonna throw Eubanks and Jacobs in there. They're full-fledged middleweights, and there's no hype to that fight, really. That's the main point. There's no hype to those fights. There's no hype to the other fights, but they were just there in the junior middleweights. They're in a division that you was the star in. You should try to, with your name and your cachet, you should try to be the king of a division. There's GGG, there's the Charlo twins, that's 3. There's Laura, you can have rematch with him, that's 4. There's Andrade, that's 5. And I believe Vaness, a lot of people ain't big on him, but that's a great fight for Canelo. If Vaness don't, get knocked out, and he throws hard, that would be a great matchmaking fight. Here's Vaness, that's 6. You choose to fight the most cherry-picking this fight in that division. And Liam Neeson. And Liam Smith. Like that is some sucker shit. And it's really not him, it's his handlers. That's some Oscar De La Hoya shit. But don't expect for the fans to be fooled. Because the funny thing that's happened is because of the GGG thing, people have kind of turned on you. I was still with you because I got it. For the guys behind the scenes, that fight wasn't going to make enough money for them in their eyes, so I didn't see it happening. I learned from the Mayweather-Pacquiao circus. But I was saying to myself, man, you cannot fight a cherry picker with all these guys that's out there for you to fight, especially a guy with your cachet. You can't do it. And guess what? This motherfucker did it.